Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 29 of the Stitching Between Pages podcast. I'm Robin. You can find me on Ravelry as halfpast92, on Instagram and Twitter as medievalisting. This is my co-host Holly Noyes. You can find the Ravelry group for the podcast at Stitching Between Pages podcast on Ravelry in the groups tab. And you can find show notes. Unfortunately, I have not had time to put together show notes for the past 2 episodes, and I think this episode is going to be more of the same. I'm hoping that sort of the middle of May, I'll have time to go back and put together show notes for the episodes that I haven't had a chance to make them. But I figure I'd rather spend my time knitting and then putting out an actual, excuse me, my voice is croaky this morning, putting out an actual video podcast, then that's what's more important to me. So if you have any questions about anything that I show in this or in any of the last 3 episodes, feel free to ask on either in the comment section on YouTube or in the Ravelry group, or send me a message on Ravelry, and I'd be more than happy to answer your question. But I just unfortunately haven't. It's been really busy, guys. So, but that's okay. It's all good things. It's all good things. And this is another this weekend. So today, I should say, this is episode 29. I might have said that already. I have that. It's weird. I have that little beginning spiel kind of down to a science, and I don't even think about what I'm saying anymore. Did I actually say where the show notes are? They're at stitchingbetweenpages.blogspot.com. So there's for most of the previous episodes, and eventually I am planning to go back and do show notes for this episode and the previous 2 that don't have show notes yet, but not quite yet. Sorry about that. Anyway, so this is episode 29. When this goes live on the internet for you all, it will be Sunday the 1st of May. I cannot believe it is May already. I'm not sure when and or how that happened. I've also just realized that my mug, which is my alma mater, matches my scarf, which is this was the Kelbourne Woolens mystery knit along in 2014. I think it's called the Beltane shawl now. I have a project page for it on Ravelry if you're curious, but I did knit it out of the Meadow yarn. It's a lace weight yarn, and the shawl, I think had I known what I was getting into, I wouldn't have done it, because there were a couple of clues that had lace stitches on both sides, so there wasn't that relaxing purl row to sort of let you recover. It also made it really difficult to read the patterns. There's a lot of, shall we say, creative design elements in this shawl, but from a distance you can't tell, and I love it. So last episode, I told you all that it was spring. I think I lied. Even though tomorrow, it's Saturday for me. Tomorrow is May 1st. Today for you all is May 1st. Spring decided to go back into hiding. It was on, let's see, on Monday, which I think was the 25th. Let's see if I can look that up. Yes, on Monday, which was the 25th. It was 80 degrees and sunny. It was absolutely beautiful. Like I wanted to spend the entire day outside. Didn't want to do work, wanted to be outside. Resisted the temptation to not do work and spend the entire day outside. Don't worry. And then there was a massive thunderstorm on Monday like night. And since then, it has been, I think the high has been about 50 or 55, which I think is about 10 degrees Celsius. I could be wrong about that. It's been a while. My Celsius Fahrenheit conversion is a bit rusty. But I think 60s is like the mid-teens, low teens. So I think 50 is about 10. It's been chilly and it's been rainy, and it's raining today, which is fine, but also it's almost May, and I was excited about spring. But anyways, here we are. That's quite enough rambling. I have lots of good things for you this week. I'm going to try to make it a slightly shorter episode. We'll see how that goes. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately, and it hasn't worked out because I end up just talking to you. So, but I'm going to try to make this a shorter episode because I have lots of other things going on this weekend, and I also need to get some work done. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm coming to you over my morning coffee this morning. I decided that we'd just start the day off with a podcast. So that's that. If I seem a little out of it, it's probably because I haven't consumed enough caffeine yet today. Those were my first 2 sips. Okay, so let's talk about some works in progress. I once again have no finished objects, alas. I have a couple of things, well, I don't know. All of these things are within sight of being done. So this is my lovely project bag from Anna Marie, which I showed you last week. It's so pretty. I love it. It makes me so happy. And in this project bag are my little cabled socks. So this, I'm not really following a pattern, but if you're curious, I have written up the instructions for the cable on my project page for this on Ravelry, and it's the most recent project page. I think there's a picture. Since Ravelry made it so that you can slurp your pictures from Instagram, that has been a great addition, because it means that I'm a lot more likely to put pictures of my projects on my project pages. So yeah, I just kind of made it up. I wanted something mostly vanilla, but not totally vanilla. Noise, you have to sit on my lap for this. I know, it's the worst. You can't sit on the desk. So I decided to put a little cable down one side of the sock. And when I do, this will, I guess, be the right sock. So the cable will be on the outside of your leg. And then when I cast on the left sock, which I haven't done yet, I will switch it so that the cable goes down the other side. So they're kind of mirrors of each other. Holly, this is a very precarious situation, and you cannot sit on the desk. If you're curious, I put up, let's see, I guess it would have been Friday night. It was last night for me, but when you see this, it will be Sunday, so it won't have been last night. But I put up a video on Instagram of her. I have a Moleskine planner that has an elastic band that holds the covers closed and a little ribbon bookmark to mark which week you're on. She plays with those like there is no tomorrow. Tried to catch it on video, and she stopped playing and licked her paw. So if you're curious, you can go check that out. So I am knitting these socks. Here's what's left of my ball. It's still a pretty substantial ball. Oh, my camera is focusing. Happy days. So I wound it by hand. I felt like winding by hand. So this is Regia 4-ply, which was given to me by my friend Celine, as I mentioned. And it's from their Nuance collection. If it will focus, it shows you what it's looked like knit up, but I just showed it to you. And so it's color, those numbers. I think these are the relevant, because Farbe is color in German. So 04989 is the color. I looked it up online earlier this week. I think it's Arctic color, but the whole collection is like several stripes. And I really like this one. So I am knitting, well, I'm not currently knitting anything, but I would be if I'd cast on the second sock. I'm knitting these on the Carbons DPNs, the Knitter's Pride Carbons DPNs, US 1 2.25 millimeter that my parents gave me for my birthday, and I love them. They are a perfect halfway point of sharpness between my Haya sharps, which I do still really like. Oh, probably, well, I don't know what I'll knit my next pair of socks on. I have some Knit Pro Zings to try out, also from Celine. She sent them to me as a birthday present, which was very, very sweet, Celine, thank you. And I'm really excited to try those because, as many of you are probably aware, they don't sell those needles in the US. So maybe I'll try those out next, but then I might go back to my Haya sharps because it's been a while since I knit a pair of socks on those. At the rate I'm knitting socks, that'll be like 3 months from now. It's okay. So anyways, They're a perfect halfway point of sharpness between high sharps and the Gu stainless steel, which I do like, but I don't like them as much. I don't dislike them while I'm knitting with them, but then I knit with another pair of needles and I'm like, oh yes, this is what it's supposed to be like. So that is one, I guess it's technically a half finished object. But I did not, usually I try to cast on the second sock right away so I don't get second sock syndrome. But I finished the first sock really late at night, and I was just, casting on is not my favorite thing to do. I don't enjoy like counting the stitches when you cast on, and I don't enjoy knitting the first row, especially on, I like everything else about knitting with DPNs, but the first row is fiddly, or can be fiddly. And I don't know, it's not my favorite thing to do. And it was late, so I decided that I would save it for another day. So I will get back to those and finish them, and I'm guessing that the second sock will work up as quickly as the first. I finished the first sock, I think, in a week and a half, which for some of you may not seem very quick, but for me, that's a pretty speedy sock. Yeah, that it was it, and it felt much faster than the last vanilla socks that I knit. Those last vanilla socks, the blue ones, felt very slow to me. I think they were rather slow too, because I started them way back in February with our post-Christmas blues knit along, and I think I didn't finish them until April. So yeah, that's pretty slow. Hi Holly, I have to put you down now so I can get my next project. She's giving me this like death glare of anger and sadness. It's okay. I know. Oh, what a terrible life you lead. Yes, it is terrible. Okay, so my next project in my big sheep bag from Fondant Fiber. Let's see here if I can get this so that you can see the whole. It's fondantfiber.com is Deb's website. Will it focus? Okay, it's focusing on some things, like balls of yarn, which are shaped like my head, but not on the tag. Anyways, giant sheep bag, very, very wonderful. And in here is my Waiting for Rain shawl, which I have made some progress on. I believe when I last showed this to you, which was the episode before last, I think I'd just gotten to the point right before you add the third lace section. So it's so big now, I can't properly spread it out for you. But here is that third section of lace. So I knit that, and the lace sections get progressively bigger as you move down the shawl. The lighting in here is so strange because it's raining outside, but that's pretty good. And then I'm almost, I think I have one more garter ridge to go before I add the fourth and final lace section. So let me hold this up for you so that you can kind of get a sense of what's going on. There's some fun stripes. I did in the first garter section, I just did 2 sections of stripes. The second garter section is totally striped. The third, which is really skinny, it's right here. Hang on, I'm pointing at it from the back and you can't see. That's no good. It's this section right here in between the last yellow stripe from this lace and this yellow stripe, which leads into this lace. So that I did totally in gray, and then this garter section I've just done 2 yellow stripes. So I'm still really enjoying this. It's like that perfect balance between relaxing lots of garter stitch, but then the lace requires a little bit more attention, and it's beautiful lace. I love this lace, and it's going to be stunning. I kind of, sort of pinned it down and really stretched it out, and it's going to be stunning once it's blocked. I also suspect that this is going to, I mean, it's big already. but I suspect it's going to block out and be absolutely huge. And I think from seeing other people's projects on Ravelry and Instagram, it does become a giant shawl, which is perfect. And the way the weather's been, maybe I'll get to wear it this year or before winter. So the pattern is called Waiting for Rain. It's designed by Sylvia Bobilvia, who is Soft Sweaters on Instagram. And it is a paid for pattern. I think she was the one who came up with this short row. The lace is a short row technique. And I think she's the one who came up with that. So that's pretty cool. And it's a really neat technique. It's a really neat way to put like little lace windows in your pattern. So the yellow that I am using, I still have, actually surprisingly, I was worried for a little while that I was going to run out of yarn, one or both colors, but I'm relatively confident that I won't. So the yellow that I'm using, here it is. Nope, we had one good focusing moment, and now we're going to have no focusing. I wonder if there's a way, because I'm pretty sure that it recognizes, I film on a webcam. It's a really good, it's an HD webcam. But I think it recognizes faces, and I think that's why it doesn't always want to focus. I wonder if there's a way to turn, oh, hey, there we go. Okay, it heard me talking about it. So this is Madeline Tosh, Tosh Merino Light in the Candlewick colorway, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Tosh Merino Light. It's a great yarn. It's 100% superwash merino, 420 yards of fingering weight yarn. And the gray that I'm using, which I think I have enough of that I'm not worried, because I have like one more garter ridge, so 2 more rows, then yellow for the lace. And then I haven't really looked at the border, but I don't think it's a substantial border. I'm not doing in the sort of addition to the pattern, the appendix to the pattern, where she talks about ways to use 2 colors, whether you want to just have the lace be 2 colors or if you want to add stripes in. She also included directions for a fancy bind off, and I'm not going to do that because I want a nice, clean, plain bind off. So I'm going to follow the original instructions, but I don't think it's very deep, so I'm not worried. But here is what remains of my gray yarn. And this is from Cedar House Yarns. There's their logo. And it's the sapling sock base in the colorway Fog. And I would highly recommend this yarn. It's really lovely. It feels really smooth. And the color is just absolutely stunning. It's a sort of subtle, tonal, neutral gray. I guess gray is always a neutral. It's kind of looking a bit blue on my camera, which I think is an effect of the lights that I have on because it's gloomy and gray outside. It's the kind of day that makes me wish I could just knit all day. But alas, Holly, we have life things to do. Yes, we have to do things that are not sitting and knitting. I think Holly would be perfectly happy if I would just sit and knit all day, wouldn't you? Yes, she's sitting down at next to my chair looking up at me sadly. Okay, so the last work in progress that I have been spinning, you guys. This is really exciting. So I'm plying, actually. I've spun all of my singles, and I am plying. So here is what I have. If it would focus. Nope. 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 I always feel like I'm playing a game. That's okay. So I am spinning. This is my Ari Wasserman drop spindle. It's made from several different, I think there's 3 different hardwoods. The shaft is one, the whorl is another, and I think this is a third. And here is what is left of my singles. There we go. So it's not the most even of spinning, but it's playing up really nicely. And I think this is going to be sort of a sport weight-ish yarn, which is really exciting. So I don't actually have the tag with me. But these are, or they were, before I spun them all into singles, they were Poonies from Naturally Knitty. It was a blend of several different fibers. The colorway was called Crazy Like a Fox, and I had 2 ounces. So yeah, this is it. But this is a pretty substantial amount of yarn. So I think I can do something exciting with it. Don't know what yet. It will probably join my last spinning project and hang out in my stash for a little while before I actually knit with it. Yeah, so that's all I've been working on. I haven't worked on either of my blankets. I have lots of ideas for things I'd like to cast on, and I haven't actually cast on any of those things. Like I was saying, I enjoyed the sort of idea stage, and I enjoy, once I have about 5 rows, then I enjoy it. But the process of casting on in the first 5 rows, not my favorite. And sometimes, I don't have I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. So I don't have like a dedicated spot where I could leave my Swift and my ball winder up all the time. So winding yarn into cakes is sometimes a little bit of a process. And I don't know. So anyways, I haven't worked yet. Like I said, haven't worked on either of my blankets. But I feel like that's not too bad for the amount of other stuff I've had going on over the past couple weeks. I'm actually pretty satisfied with the amount of knitting that I've done. But since that was not exactly the most knitting I've ever shown on this podcast, I thought I'd talk very briefly about a couple of ideas that I have for upcoming projects. And since we were just talking about spinning, the next thing that I am going to spin is this lovely, lovely bundle of fibery goodness, which has these beautiful blues, but also or I guess maybe greens, like sea glass green. That's probably a good description of what this color is. But then it has these beautiful like sunset orange and purple and some black. So this is Malabrigo's fiber. Which is called nube, which means cloud in Latin. Possibly also, I've just thought a little bit about this. Malabrigo are they Spanish? I want to say so, and I think Piedras is the name of the colorway. And I'm going to say that's Spanish, so I'm going to say that nube is potentially also cloud in Spanish. So if somebody speaks Spanish, which I do not, let me know. Am I right? Did I guess right? It's 100% merino, 4 ounces. Yes, made in Uruguay. So I'm confident in my language guessing abilities that is probably Spanish, not Latin. This is what happens when you're a medievalist. Everything becomes related to medieval things, like Latin. Anyways, this is what I'm going to spin next. I've kind of been working in the order of from the oldest thing I have forward. And so I'm going to continue that with this. So hopefully that will be on my spindle the next time I podcast. We'll see how it goes. I spin in phases. Sometimes I spin a lot and then I go weeks without spinning at all. So then I posted a picture on Instagram of these 3 yarns. I will hold them a little bit closer. Which I am thinking would make a really nice 3-color cashmere shawl, which I know everybody is knitting lately. The grocery girls have a knit along. They also have a hashtag, Gigi made me do it, for grocery girls made me do it. I think that might be the case here. But anyways, yeah, so I haven't cast on yet because I need the same needle that I'm using for my Waiting for Rain shawl. So I'm waiting until that's done to cast on another shawl. And I'm going to think about this a little bit more. I'm not totally sold on it. So let me know what you think. People on Instagram seem to think it was a good idea. So this would be my color A, which is Tosh Merino Light again, but this time in the Found no, sorry, not the Found Pottery colorway, Modern Fair Isle colorway. So it has speckles of gray and kind of a orange, like a burnt orange. There's one blue speckle right there, but I don't think that's typical. I'm looking for others, and it's gray and orange. So this would be color A. This would be color B. So this has been in my stash for a while. It's Kismet Fiberworks, and there's their tag. Kismet Fiberworks, and it's their Soul Base, which is a singles fingering, and this is the Lucky Penny colorway. We are not going to have any focusing happening, I don't think. Nope. So it's kind of, I think this goes relatively well. It's not really, that's all right. I think this goes well with the orange in my speckles. So this would be color A, and this would be color B. And then this beautiful bright blue Happiness would be color C. So this is also Kismet Fiberworks, also the Soul Base, but the color is called Juniper, which I think it is exactly that color of the bright juniper blue. So what do you think? I bought these two skeins to go together. These were always planned to be used in a project, and that's the reason I haven't used them, is because I haven't found exactly the right project for them to be in the same thing. So let me know what you think. The only thing, I don't know, I'm not totally sold on this skein because the speckles are not exactly the same as this, but I think they're close enough. And I think the gray, I think it works. Let me know. Let me know if you have thoughts about that. I would love to know. So, and the third thing that I'm thinking about, and I don't have yarn for this yet, a lovely member of my Ravelry group posted some pictures in the What Are You Knitting thread of projects that she's been working on throughout the month of April. And one of them is a hap. And I commented, it's a shawl from, I want to say Haps or Shetland. I'm not sure. I should have looked that up. But they're from somewhere in the British Isles. It's a traditional square or triangular, and they're knit in a very specific way. So anyways, I commented and said, oh, that hap is gorgeous. I've sort of been thinking about knitting one someday in the distant future. And so she responded and said, she included a picture of one that she had knit before that was finished, and she'd used the Half Hansel hap pattern, which is a Gudrun Johnston pattern, I believe, from the Shetland Trader. So that would make me think that haps are Shetland shawls. Pretty confident, but don't hold me to it if I'm wrong. Anyways, the same Ravelry group member also recommended that I check out the Hap Along thread in the Knit British group on Ravelry, which, if you are at all interested in this style of shawl, I highly recommend going to check out that thread. It was extraordinarily inspirational, and just looking through different patterns on Ravelry. So the idea would be that when I do get around to knitting one, and this is, one of those dreams that might take several months to be achieved, so don't expect to see this on the needles tomorrow. But the idea would be that I would knit mine out of British wool. I'm thinking like maybe Blacker. I really like Blacker yarns. I want to get my hands on some. So I think that would be really fun. They have some really beautiful colors. And you can also get some, but not all, of the Blacker range from loveKnitting.com, which they're in the US. So shipping to the US is not, I think it's like $5. And then if you spend more than $50, it's free. So that's always good. But anyways, I'm thinking, do I start now and knit, while I have all of this excitement about the project, and do the Half Hansel hap, which is beautiful? Or if you follow Kate Davies on Instagram or Twitter or Ravelry or her blog. She is currently working on a HAP book. Do I wait for that to come out? Because from what I can tell, it looks like there's some fabulous designers, and I always really enjoy reading Kate Davies' blog. She was trained as an academic historian, but left the academy, but she still brings sort of that deep research mentality to her knitting design business and now yarn business, which I love so much. It's really wonderful to read her posts and all of that. So if you, for some reason, are not familiar with Kate Davies, I would highly recommend checking out her blog. If you just Google Kate Davies, you'll find it. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. If anybody else has knit a HAP, let me know. And yeah, so maybe I'll wait for the Kate Davies book. And then at least I'll have, I'll know, I won't start knitting a HAP and then the book will come out and I'll realize, oh, I wish I was knitting this pattern instead. So, all right, that is all of the knitting stuff from me. But there is many exciting things still to come. Can I speak English? Sometimes we wonder. So let me give you a quick rundown of what's to come, because I know some people just watch for the knitting, and then if you want to leave, you can leave. So I'm going to talk about a new knit-along starting in June. I have a couple of acquisitions, some of which are prizes for this future knit-along, this upcoming knit-along. I have a book to talk about, and then last but not least, I will announce the winners of the prizes. There's 3 prizes for the 1,000 members podcast anniversary, podiversary, all that fun stuff. So that is what is coming. So the knit-along that is going to be starting, it will start on June 1st. I was invited by Robin and Mary. So Robin spells her name with a Y. I spell mine with an I. So we slightly different, but it's always fun to meet another Robin because it's not a very common name. But I met Robin and Mary of the Cherry Pearls podcast at DFW Fiberfest, as I think I mentioned in that episode. And they're lovely. And I would definitely recommend checking out their podcast if you haven't. They're from New Orleans or the New Orleans vicinity. And they invited me to co-host a knit-along with them, which is super exciting. And of course I said yes. So like I said, starting on the 1st of June. And it's going to be called the Summer Colors Cal. So it'll be #SummerColorsCal. And basically the idea is to knit something using at least 2 colorways. So you can't, self-striping yarn doesn't count, but you have to use 2 different colorways of yarn, at least, but you can use more. So you could use 3 or 4 or 5. You can enter works in progress, so long as, you can cast on before June 1st if you want. So long as it's like less than 50% done by June 1st, your judgment. And it will last for 2 months. So there will be more details to come, and I will, I'm not sure when yet, but I will open a chatter thread, and then on June 1st, I'll open the finished objects thread. You are more than welcome to obviously double dip with the Cherry Pearls podcast in their group. Since we're co-hosting the Cal, why wouldn't you double dip? Just follow their rules, like if you have to be a member of their group or whatever. And yeah, and anywhere else, if there's other Cals going on, as far as I'm concerned, you are more than welcome to dip away so long as all of the rules permit that. So like I said, more details to come, but get thinking about that. It'll be super exciting. Maybe I will wait to cast on my 3-color cashmere shawl until June 1st. Maybe not. But yeah, so that is coming up. June and July, Summer Colors Cal. So, Holly, I have to put you down now. I need to lean over. This was the one thing. It's right here, but I just need to lean over. Okay. So a wonderful friend of the podcast very kindly donated 3 skeins of yarn, and 2 of them are for me. No, that's backwards, Robin. 2 of them are for you. One of them is for me. And I haven't totally settled on which one I'm going to keep yet, but I do know that this will be one of the prizes because I have already knit with a skein of this yarn. And I have another skein in my stash, although it's not this color. This is the Goldfinch color of West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply from their very well-known bird range. So they're all based on British birds. And they are lovely. This is wonderful yarn. It's woolly and sturdy, and it makes great socks. You might remember that I knit socks with the blue tick colorway. So yes, this will be a prize, likely for the Summer Colors Cal. And then these are the other two skeins. And I'm going to keep one, and one will be a prize either for the Summer Colors Cal or some future Cal. I don't know exactly how I'm going to divide it up yet. So I have not used either of these dyers. This vibrantly neon rainbow skein, the camera is not doing justice. These are proper highlighter colors. But this is Kirby Werby Yarns. And it's a self-striping, kirbywerbyyarns.etsy.com. And this is the soft and squishy base, so it's 450 yards of 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and the colorway is, I assume KW is Kirby Werby Rainbow. So let me hold it up. Again, that's really not doing justice to how vibrantly neon. It looks sort of like crayon colors, like primary colors. It's proper neon. So that is one skein, and the other skein is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. And this is the Bounce Base, which is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, approximately 400 yards, and the colorway is Double Tap. This is also a self-striping yarn. So actually all three of these technically are self-striping yarns. And this one is sort of autumnal colors, beautiful, rich burgundy, yellow, green, and a little bit of brown. It's also really pretty. Again, the sort of gray day is not doing justice to the colors. So anyways, if you have thoughts about which one of these you would like to see as a prize in the future, let me know. Because like I said, if it's left up to me, it might come down to a flip of the coin. So I will make my decision eventually. But anyways, thank you very much to the lovely friend of the podcast who donated these to us. And I'm so excited to have some prizes for our upcoming knit along. That is all of the yarn that I've acquired over the past couple of weeks. So now let me talk about the book. I actually wrote out show notes, which I guess I could type them up, but I always end up saying different things and talking in a different order than what I wrote out at midnight last night. Anyways, I have a different book listed on here, but I went to my shelf to get the book that I was going to talk about, which I will talk about. It's one of my very favorites. But I decided to talk about this one instead. This is Colum McCann's novel Dancer. You may know. Yes, noise. Oh, is everything so terrible? Yes, everything is the worst. You might know Colum McCann because he wrote a National Book Award winning novel called Let the Great World Spin. I'm going to say that was like 2006 or 2007, 2008-ish, several years ago, when I was in high school. And that's also a wonderful novel. But I'm talking about Dancer, which is about the very famous Russian ballet dancer Rudolf Nureyev. And I will read the back to you. Taking his inspiration from biographical facts, novelist Colum McCann tells the erotically charged story of the Russian dancer Rudolf Nureyev through the cast of those who knew him. There is Anna Vasileva, Rudy's first ballet teacher, who rescues her protege from the stunted life of his town. Yulia, whose sexual and artistic ambitions are thwarted by her Soviet-sanctioned marriage. And Victor, the Venezuelan hustler, who reveals the lurid underside of the New York gay celebrity set. Spanning 4 decades and many worlds, from the horrors of the Second World War to the wild abandon of Manhattan in the 80s, Dancer is peopled by a large cast of characters, obscure and famous. Doormen and shoemakers, nurses and translators, Margot Fontaine, Eric Brune, and John Lennon. And at the heart of the spectacle stands the artist himself, willful, lustful, and driven by a never-to-be-met need for perfection. So the reason that I chose to talk about this book today is because yesterday was International Dance Day. And one of the things that's keeping me very busy this weekend is dancing. I take a ballet class once a week, and our studio is putting on a recital. So I'm in that, which is super fun. And I have not been in a dance recital since I was like 10. So it'll be fun. I'm really excited. So it's this evening and Saturday evening and Sunday afternoon matinee. But yeah, so I thought that this would be appropriate, and it is a really I think I gulped down this novel in a day or two. It's a very quick read, but it's also beautifully written. I would say that Colum McCann's writing style is restrained. He uses very few words, simple sentences, sometimes changes of form, so there will be letters or I'm looking at a report right now. I just opened the page and it's kind of like a diary and a report. But it's just, his prose is just spare, might be better. And if you are at all interested in dance, I would highly recommend this book. It's I don't actually know all that much about Rudolf Nureyev's life. Like I couldn't tell you if it's biographically accurate. But as sort of a representation of the professional ballet world and the noise and of sort of the lifestyle, it's spot on. So yeah, that's Colum McCann's novel Dancer. The Los Angeles Times said, a monumental life. Stylistically, Dancer is a leap itself. So yes, it's a novel. It's not a biography. Just so that is clear. And if you're curious about Let the Great World Spin, that is about the tightrope walker who, when the World Trade Center, the Twin Towers, were being built in New York City, he strung a wire across and tightrope walked between the two towers. And what was his name? He was French, Philip something. Anyways, the novel Let the Great World Spin takes that event as its starting point, which is a true story, and kind of takes these lives of people who saw it or somehow experienced it and weaves them together. It's very good. I would highly recommend that one as well as Dancer. But I'm talking about Dancer because of International Dance Day and my own busy weekend of dancing. So now, without any further ado, let's do some giveaways. So we will start with, actually no, let's do the 2 pattern giveaways first, and then we will conclude with the big, exciting package. So we had 2 pattern giveaways. The first was for the Growing Flowers cowl and soon to be also shawl by Cody of the Cody Knits podcast. So there were 10 entries, and the lucky winner of the cowl, the pattern, was number 7. So I used random number generator, random.org, ahead of time because if I tried to do it on the podcast, it would just be a giant disaster, and I don't have enough devices to manage to do that and whatever. So please trust me that I used random.org. So anyways, the winner of the Growing Flowers cowl was at post number 7, who is Sally. Her Ravelry username is yarnfriendly2, number 2, from Saskatchewan. So she said that if she won the pattern, she would use this as an excuse to go yarn shopping. Oh darn, because she doesn't have any worsted weight yarn in her stash. So Sally, I hope that you are able to take this as an opportunity to go yarn shopping and buy something super fun. So please get in touch with me and let me know that you won. I'll probably give it a week and then send you a Ravelry message just to let you know that you won. But please get in touch with me via Ravelry message. Let me know, and I will have Cody send you the pattern. The second pattern giveaway we had was for one of Rachel of Night Owl Fibers patterns. And just as a reminder, we still have a discount code for her shop, which is stitching10. Good for 10% off through the end of May. So you have a whole month left to use that code, which was very generous of her. And Rachel also kindly donated one of her patterns. She has, I believe, a hat, a shawl, and 2 pairs of socks that she's designed. And so this giveaway had 25 entries, and I have totally failed to write down which. I wrote down the name of the winner, but I didn't write down the number of the post. Let me see if I can figure it out. That's sad. I've had finer moments as usual. I was making my show notes and drawing these winners at midnight last night. Okay. So the winning post was, I want to say it was number 13. Yes, it was. Okay, so the winner of the Night Owl Fibers pattern was post number 13, which was Kathy, whose username is Yarnwit. And I was really excited. I'm really excited that you won this pattern, Kathy, because she's one of the more active people in our Ravelry group. And so it's really nice that you've won this pattern. So she said that she would knit the Abigail shawl, which is already in her favorites, and it is. I saw it in real life. Rachel's mom was wearing it at DFW where I met them, and so Kathy already had that shawl in her favorites and would knit it in some Miss Babs yarn. So congratulations, Kathy. Get in touch with me and just confirm that Abigail shawl is still the pattern of Rachel's that you want, and I'll have her send it to you. So congratulations to both of those pattern prize winners. I really hope that you enjoy knitting up your new patterns. Okay, now the big prize. So just as a quick reminder, there is a skein of yarn from October House Fiber Arts, a mini skein, which is a pretty substantial mini skein, from Hedgehog Fibers, some Self-Care Herbal Blend tea from Plum Deluxe, a magnet from the Art Institute, some stitch markers from Cat's Pajamas Crafts, and a little notebook of Chicago with many famous landmarks, plus the winner's choice of any of the books that I've talked about on the podcast, including If You Want Dancer, because I just talked about that one. I talked about it before I am drawing for the prize. So, drum roll please. I don't know why I've picked up my pen to wave around. So we had 90 entries, you guys, which is amazing. And I read every single one of them, and I really enjoyed reading all of your favorite museums. If you need an idea for a museum to visit or a dream trip to plan, the thread is still in the Ravelry group. It's locked. But I would highly recommend going to check out and, see what museums people have recommended. It was from, I think I said this last week, but people of, world famous museums, the British Museum, Smithsonian Museum, the Met in New York City, down to local museums in their area, or smaller museums, or art museums, science museums, children's museums, living history museums. It really ran the whole gamut. It was great. So thank you all for entering, because I got to like plan 6 new trips to visit all of these different museums that you recommend. They're all over the US, lots in Europe, I think one in Australia or New Zealand. So it was a pretty good range of, I don't think we had any museums in Asia or Africa, but that's all right. You can plan your trip to Europe or anywhere in the US based on this thread. So without any further ado, again, done by random number generator prior to filming, the winner was post number 6, which is super early on. You know, you always expect it to be kind of in the middle, like the 40s or the 50s. But post number 6, who is Joanne. And Joanne's username, Ravelry username, is Jar Green, Jar Green maybe. And this was so exciting because Joanne's favorite museum is the Art Institute. She's a docent there, and she's actually gotten in touch with me. We've talked about the Art Institute because I love the Art Institute. And that just is so funny and so perfect. So Joanne, congratulations. Get in touch with me and let me know what book you would like. And also let me know your address. She lives part of the year in Chicago and part of the year in South Carolina. So let me know where you are now and where I should send this prize package for you. And I think I will probably order the book and maybe inscribe it and just, you know, write a little note about the podcast if you would like that. And then send the whole thing to you all at once rather than like ordering the book from Amazon and shipping it to you. But anyways, congratulations to all 3 winners. Get in touch with me. Let me know that you've seen that you've won. Like I said, I'll probably give it a week or so and then get in touch with you and nudge you to watch the podcast. This podcast has not been any shorter. It's 50 minutes long, but that's okay. So anyways, yes, congratulations to all the winners. That's it from me for this episode. And I will see you all in 2 weeks in the middle of May. So happy May to everybody. If you're in the UK, I don't know if anywhere else in the world has the first Monday of May as a bank holiday, but if you're in the UK, have a lovely bank holiday weekend. Enjoy that extra day off. And yes, I will see you all next time. Happy knitting. Bye.